liver, liver people who are not feeling well, and my liver, right, with all the drinking we do. So thank you, Siggy. Come up.
All right, thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for giving me the most precious thing that we all have, which is our time. It's nice to be up here with, obviously, two other companies that are both health-related that I think are actually complementary to us and vice versa as well. Most of you have taken the product, you've had a scan, we've interacted, so I'll stick most to the company, but I'll be available later in the day to go over any of the details if you want to go deep in science or anything. So, as you know, we're doing a 3 million pre-series A round right now. Next slide, please. So, with the company, Equilibrium Labs has two parts. It's the clinical side, which is the diagnostics, and it's the product side, which is the deliverance. And what we're doing is addressing the root cause of the fastest growing driver of chronic illness worldwide. That's liver disease. You guys have probably heard some of my podcasts. Liver disease is up 400% in the last 50 years, and it's accelerating. Even with modern medicine, that's why products such as we just heard about now are rushing to get in there because it is outpacing modern medicine. Next slide, please. So, fastest growing cause of death globally. Rising levels of liver disease are driven by lifestyle factors such as diet, lack of exercise, processed foods, alcohol, OTC pharmaceuticals. 400% deaths increase, as I said. There's a big fear with all the GLP-1s that are coming out, and the antagonistics, and what we're seeing from a pancreatic cancer risk perspective. There is potentially not only a tsunami coming of NASH patients, but also potentially from damage from things such as Wegovy and the GLP-1s, which we're starting to see. If you're on a Wegovy or a Ozempic, your risk factor of pancreatitis goes up by 900%, and we're very concerned in the hepatology world what that could mean long-term for pancreatic cancer risk. Next slide, please. So the liver, right, master organ, hero organ, is known as the general of the body in Eastern medicine. It has 500 functions and thousands of enzymatic functions as well. Most people think of it as, it's this amazing detox engine. That's one of the things it does. It's also the most important organ for longevity. It's the most important organ for hormones. So for menopause and women's health, hormone health, liver is the most important. Most important for skin, most important for your immune system. So it's this incredible organ that is not as much understood in Western medicine, and it's generally overlooked and misunderstood and not appreciated. So, one of the things that's coming now, we're coming out of the age of gut health, and we're going into the age of liver health. Anybody in deep academia, biotech will tell you that. That's the next big thing that's coming. So from a market timing perspective, the 20 years that we've been working on this company and these formulas, it couldn't be better. Next slide. So liver critical organ with over 500 functions. It also controls your cholesterol, glucose, glycogen, all the absorptions of the vitamins in your body. So when you're taking your supplements, you're eating healthy, all the vitamins and minerals and amino acids that we get, the liver actually is controlling those, monitoring those, masterminding those. So the liver is going to decide when to deploy vitamins, when to deploy proteins, and all these things as well. So it is a truly intelligent master organ as well. Hormones, as I said, amino acids, and it produces bile. Regulation of blood glucose, controlling the amount of type, etc. Next slide. So deliverance, as you know, we call it an antioxidant elixir because of the amount of antioxidants we have in the product. Besides it being very, very strong from an anti-inflammatory perspective, it optimizes liver function. And some of the metabolic tests and the metabolomics and transcriptomics and lipidomics studies we've been doing at the University of Paris, we feel they're actually getting into the mitochondria. And mitochondria is the energy that we all live off of, and is probably one of the most important parts of the body. So we do work on a nano level to address those. Here's an example of just the antioxidant levels. Rosemary extract, one of the strongest things, grapeseed extract, we're all familiar with curcumin mint. So we have 94.5 million units versus the second strongest, 800,000. Give you an example. That's why we have a lot of remarkable effects such as reversing fibrosis and the skin and hair as well. As you know, it's 115 times existing natural supplements. It is 100% natural. Even the preservatives are natural in the product. And we've done that, and that took 5 years just to figure out how to not have a chemical-based preservative into the product, and we could still maintain a 2-year shelf life. Next slide, please. So here's sort of the studies as well. This was a preclinical study that we did at UCL in London. UCL is arguably UK's top university for fatty liver research. And we do an animal study first, and in a lot of ways can be more accurate because you're using cloned mice, so the genetics are identical. So whereas humans, it's very much different. For instance, South Asians will get fatty liver disease 3 times as fast as Caucasian. Africans get heart disease quicker, different ethnicities have different propensities, and it's very hard to control in a human trial. We are doing human trials, which we'll get to. But there's an example. So the top one is the control. So those little white things, those are basically blood vessels. Second one down, that's called a Western standard diet. So in a clinical trial, if we want to induce fatty liver disease, we would do what's called a Western standard diet. Now, see all those white little hazy, that's fat. That is a fatty liver. That is a, top one is normal. Second one, we put them under American or Western European or Australian diet, fatty liver disease. Bottom one is a Western standard diet with Deliverance. So if you look, it's actually healthier than the control, and those big white globules are actually blood vessels. So we're increasing blood, not only oxygenation in the blood, but blood flow within the liver as well. The gentleman, Professor Rajiv Jalan, is known as probably the top hepatologist in the UK, 400 published papers. He ran these studies, so that's part of our strategy. I didn't cover much, but our previous chairman, unfortunately passed away. He was the CEO of Red Bull, UK. He made Red Bull what it is, the phenomenon. He was executive vice president of Anheuser-Busch. He invented Bud Light back in the 80s. Needless to say, he'd probably roll over in his grave if he knew what happened recently with some of the scenarios of it, but amazing man. So our strategy was, rather than go raise 20 to 50 million to spend on advertising to try to convince the public how amazing we are, let's find a top professor, let's find a top university, let's spend 2 to 3 million on studies, and those 2 to 3 million on studies will give us more credibility than dumping 50 million to try to advertise to people. And that's the strategy that we have followed, hence why the development time took so long. Next slide. So, blockbuster revenue opportunity, you heard that as well with the previous company as well. Liver health is rapidly becoming the longevity sector's main focus, surpassing gut health. As I said, we're coming out of one time into another. So we're targeting the premium market, and we're also targeting the 90% of people that do not yet have liver disease. So when I mean very complementary, if we get the patient that does at that level of liver disease, very on who we just talked to, they would then go to that level of it as well. So we practice what's called root cause medicine, and that is getting to the root cause of something and preventing it before it happens. That's why data is very important to us, that's why AI is very important to us, and diagnosing the public before they get sick. You know, as I said, when did Noah build the ark? Most people say, oh, before the flood. Well, no, he built it before the rain. And that's the mentality that we take and how we develop and how we look at the market. So we're target premium market for liver health, acting as a category multiplier, restoring the liver before the disease can develop. Here's the supplement global market down there. Global population of liver disease. As you can see, it's 1.62 billion right now, globally. Projected to be 2.35. When I was doing a lot of clinical work in 2016, it was 25% of the US population had fatty liver disease. As of today, it's 38%. So it's accelerating that fast. Annual subscription revenue, this is how we look at the market. The total addressable market globally is worth about 66 billion. The serviceable addressable market is about 118, and we think that we're going to go after the 2.8, so we're going to go after a very small percentage of it. And as you know, if we capture 1% of that, we're worth in the billions. Next slide. So commercially proven, ready to scale. You know, we spent most of the years in development, studies, testing it as well. We started going to commercialization in 2023. 2024, we really started to unroll, but we did it in a soft method. 2025 is the year that we will hire a marketing director, we will hire a sales director, but even with no active marketing, we still did 1.8 million last year. We did more revenue in the first 5 months of this year than we did last year, so we're averaging 300% year-on-year growth. We feel that when we do this next $3 million comes in, we should hit anywhere between 3.6 to 6 million in revenue this year, 18 million next year, and then our goal will be to triple it thereafter. Quarterly revenue figures. This is all available to anybody, by the way, so I'll try to skip through it because I don't want Dan to come up and kill me. Next slide, please. So we have a direct-to-consumer model, and that's incredibly important for what we're really doing. We are not a product company. We are not a consumer packaged product company. We are a tech-enabled healthcare business that is data, intellectual property, scientific discovery, that we happen to have a product up front. So everybody can understand that's why we slow roll. That's why we're not on Amazon, right? If I'm on Amazon, they take all the margin, and we don't know who the patients are, what the outcomes are, how are we helping them. And we're not in this just to, flash in the pan, sell a bunch of product quickly. We're building a company into the billion valuation based off of data, intellectual property, and scientific discovery. So we're taking this at a very good pace and a cadence in order for that strategy. So the healthcare model is the scanning, which we've done. Some of the partners we have, such as Randox Health, they're the largest blood testing and clinical labs in the UK. Langerhoff is a world-famous high-end spa. There's 5 of them. You go for a week, you spend 25 grand, and you go through the most incredible thing. Next Health, or local, there's about 10 in the US right now, and they're adding another 20. They are pop-up regenerative clinics. They're all over, almost every major city has them. They do stem cell, they do cryo, they now do liver health, they do MRI, and very interesting, they do total plasma exchange, which is super cool as well. Their CEO, Dr. Darshan Shah, we cured 2 of his friends' liver disease. He's now joined our board. He's our US Chief Science Officer, and he is now also our partner. So we'll be putting liver clinics in all of the Next Health, which will give us national coverage by the end of the year. John Bell Croydon is where we've done an experiment. It's the top pharmacy in the UK. It's where the Queen used to go. And we have an embedded clinic in there, and we're testing 10 to 12 people a day. Give you an example, it's like the Harrods or Neiman Marcus of pharmacies. In the 9 months that we've been there, we are the only item in their top 10 that is not a non-skincare product, and we're number 3 online and number 5 in the store. They're blown away. No other supplement even makes it to the top 10 because we're competing against La Prairie, very expensive makeup, skincare, etc. So the only problem we've had with them is they don't order enough and they keep running out. And so it's a consistent flow in there as well. Plus we bring a lot of the press in. So there's a press deck, which I'll send everybody. We've been in the last 12 months, we've been in the New York Times, the Financial Times, we're coming out in Forbes, Vogue magazine twice, Wired magazine, GQ, just Harper's Bazaar, you name it, and that's all unpaid for. That is all organic because the journalists have used our product. They've had loved ones that we've helped, or we've helped them themselves with their biomarkers and reverse certain disease aspects. So they love us, and we built that through organic and trust. In the US, with the product, so I look at putting the product into the 5-star hotels as is kind of it's like an initial hook. People stay at the hotel, they try it, we're like, wow, I feel really good, and then we have a bigger conversation. If we can make you feel good after having a big night out of drinking or sober you up quickly, wait until you take the product every day. We dramatically reduce liver fat, improve cholesterol, skin, and hair. So the hotels are very important for us. The Wynn Hotel was picked because that is the top hotel in Las Vegas. That is the ultimate 5-star, and everybody will copy what they do. Dan and Peg was very instrumental in setting that relationship up. After 9 months of negotiation, we designed the kit. They have purchased the product, they have paid for the product, and it is being boxed and will be in the rooms by the end of the month. That's 5,200 5-star rooms, which we're front and center in. So we're very proud about that. Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills, we've been in there for a year. So we've got case studies of how we converted hotels, how we converted spas, and we are in negotiations with Four Seasons to eventually be in all 150 global locations. If anybody's ever watched the show White Lotus, just so you know, White Lotus is based off of Four Seasons, and every season is at a different Four Seasons location. That's why when I'm saying premium, Hilton right now would not qualify. We would not approve Deliverance to be sold there because we're going high-end, and high-end allows us to keep price integrity. And by keeping in that demographic, in that market, it's more defensible based off of economic conditions because the wealthy are not going to mind as much. And that builds up a long-term value as well. So we're doing a pilot liver clinic pop-up at the location in London, which is a $1.2 billion hotel that they built. And we're discussing a permanent liver clinic at Four Seasons Vegas, Four Seasons Lanai, with the global plan as well. Once again, the Four Seasons relationship came in because their vice president of global partnerships had been using our product for a year and a half, absolutely loved it. We met him and he says, I want you guys to partner with this. So it's really good. Once again, an organic relationship. Next slide, please. So I think this is where it's really interesting. So this is how, kind of with our flywheel, where you've got the product, you've got diagnostics, and you've got data. They're all feeding each other. And as you create that kind of symbiotic ecosystem, we're massively increasing the value of the company, which we'll get into in a second. But so liver scan, check that, fatty liver stiffness, okay. Then we report, do a health report, engage with the patients, get lifestyle habits, biomarker data, what kind of diets are you following, how's your stress levels, and we really interact. So all of our team that deals with the public is either a nutritionist, a dietitian, a doctor, an MD, and so we really very much care, and our kind of ethos is we will hold your hand, whether it's as simple as we give you some nutritional advice, to God forbid if we have to do a liver transplant, we will organize that, we will get you with the top hepatologist at the top university. And in fact, one of the people from Randox we did as well, Dr. Gareth, our chief medical officer. This is a really good story actually. So his driver had cirrhosis. They gave him 6 months to live. In the UK, the wait list for a liver transplant was 12 months. So obviously he's not going to make it. 50% of people on the liver transplant list do not make it there because they die. We were able to put him onto Deliverance, stem regen. Dr. Gareth made some calls. We got him bumped up the list, kept him alive to 7 months. He got the transplant, and as of last week, he's back at work. So that's why the Randox partnership is so meaningful, because we've transformed the health of somebody incredibly close to the CEO of that company. So we do a 3-month scan. Something else that you guys will know is most supplement companies or drug companies wouldn't take this risk. We're so confident in our efficacy that we say, go get a blood test, go get a scan, go get an MRI. Let's see where you're at. Let's put you onto Deliverance, and then 3 months later, let's test you again, and you're gonna see the proof is in the pudding. Anecdotally, yes, you're gonna feel good, less brain fog, more energy, lose some weight, skin, hair looks good, great. So that's anecdotal. But if you look at the data, we're saying, let's look at your blood. Have we improved your cholesterol? Have we improved the liver fat? So that's something I think is a huge strength for us that most companies wouldn't even dare to do. But we can do that because our efficacy rate is in the high 80s, low 90%. So that's why it's very important. Plus, it increases the stickiness, and people stay on Deliverance longer because they're feeling the results, they're seeing the results, and their doctors are seeing the results. We're not in the business of selling 1 bottle or 2 bottles. We're in the business of selling it and changing lifestyle, changing health, and transforming it. And because Deliverance does many things, it's a great baseline product. You know, it handles cholesterol, so you maybe don't need statins. It improves your liver function, skin, hair, immune, et cetera, So whilst it is not an inexpensive product, it does a lot. So it replaces a lot of other supplements and or medications that are in your cabinet. So you're getting a lot for it. Our challenge, and what we have to do, is to be able to convey that to the public. You're getting a lot of benefit out of this. So it's not just, you know, a liver product for $7 a bottle. It's actually 10 products as well. Plus the nootropics, amazing. I always tell a lot of guys in the biohacking field, the supplement field, you go into a health food store, there's very few nootropics or products you take that you can feel right away. Deliverance you can feel right away because of the nanotechnology, and we're increasing the mental clarity happens quick. And that's because of the technology we use. So the liver processes that we do include, tech-enabled healthcare, FibroScan technology, which most of you have experienced, telehealth medical support. Dr. Gareth and our team are constantly doing conversations, consultations. We can coordinate if somebody has something more medical. Nutritionist support, patient referral, training, yada yada. So we really do take care of our patients, and that really builds like a great fidelity. So we're very much engaged with who takes our product. We don't need millions of people to be on subscription and turn this into a $1 billion company. When we get 100,000 subscribers globally, our valuation is into the $1 billion, just based off of that aspect of it, let alone the data. Next slide. So the Rembrandt in the attic. And as a lot of you in property and real estate, I think you'll appreciate this analogy. And this was the banker from Rothschild. And he said, what you have here in the company is we call it a Rembrandt in the attic. So the foundation, the land that this house is built on, that is the one valuation that we very much focus on. That's the people buying the product and sell the product. And we have an EBITDA of 20%, et cetera, et cetera. The house that is built on that land will be worth more than the land itself, and that is the intellectual property. That is the discoveries we're making, the mechanism of discovery, and the potential collaborations with a biotech or a big pharma to turn this into a drug. We're very lucky the CEO of Amgen, who's a big pharma company, takes the product, is a big fan of it as well. I've also had meetings with Nestle in Vevey in Switzerland about buying it as well. So we're looking at 3 potential targets of 3 potential billion-dollar valuations, but also exits as well. So the company could be, we might sell off the rights to a drug to a big pharma, we might sell the product company over here to like a Nestle or Unilever, and we might also take the data play, but the Rembrandt in the attic is worth more than the house, and it's worth more than the land, and that's the data. So the data, we think, and we've been told by QVA, which is a $60 billion company in revenue a year that none of us have heard of, that's all they do is buy data. The data will be worth 20x what the lifetime value that somebody spends with this is. So we're very focused on that. So in a way, we are really actually a data company. So planned future studies that we're doing to increase valuation. These are all things to liver control. Diabetes, menopause. Menopause is a $659 billion a year market. And we're looking at menopause from a liver perspective, where everybody else is focused on hormones and this and that. We're actually saying, but if we can, from root cause, if we can transform and improve liver health, you'll have a lot less side effects, a lot less hot flashes, more control, less agita, less stress with the menopause. So menopause is a very big area for us. It will be. Reducing toxicity of chemotherapy, everybody knows that's a passion project of ours. And as a rule, we are compassionate capitalists. We will turn this into a multi-billion-dollar venture by preventing illness, but we will not profiteer from somebody that's undergoing active cancer. So we don't, I'm not going to profiteer from somebody that's dying. That's just the rule we have as a company. So we do take care of people that are undergoing chemo on a pro bono basis. We were going to do a big study actually with, if anybody's heard of City of Hope, they're an incredible organization. They recently purchased Cancer Centers of America. And we went to them to do a study because we put people on Deliverance pre-chemo and post to reduce toxicity, make the chemo more effective. Dr. Gareth was so compelling and had such a great meeting with them that they've now decided, you don't have to pay us to do the study, we'll do the study and they're gonna buy the product from us. So for what was gonna cost us $500,000, we're gonna net 90. So that is just undergoing ethical review right now. So that's one of the areas we're really excited about. Decreasing toxicity of obesity medications, GLP-1, some of the things that we were discussing earlier. Enhancing the results of stem cell therapies. Part of that chemo thing that we're also looking at is potentially using stem cell therapy to not only reverse cirrhosis, but also to re-engage and re-energize stem cell production. Because when you get chemo, obviously it's incredibly damaging, your natural stem cell production is wiped out. So we're trying to reinvigorate that. We're doing a partnership with a product called Stem Regen. That's a study in Madrid we're working on right now. And enhancing alcohol metabolism, which is, I guess you would say, one of the fun lifestyle aspects of the product. Remember, this product metabolizes alcohol at 15 times faster than we normally do. Hence, there's a fun aspect to the product. So the product, yes, it's medical, but it's also fun, it's lifestyle. So some people just use it after a drink. Some people we transform their health. Some people reversing the damage from chemotherapy. So we've got a very broad aspect to it, but we are going to be hyper-focused on where we can target. Next slide. So what's the funding for? So we are raising $15 million. We were going to raise $15 million at the $50 million pre-money valuation. But we realized we don't need $15 million right now, and I don't want to give that much of the company away for that much. So we said, you know what, we're going to raise $3 million at a pre-series A, which is what's open now. Once we then can tick us up to the next valuation, which hopefully will be about 75, then we'll raise the other 12. So we've broken it into two rounds. That's why we're doing a pre and then a series A later. So what the funding is used for is to build out the leadership team. You know, we need a head of marketing. We need some more executives as well. We've had people that have been on the team that have helped us get to a $5 million a year company. We will have outgrown those people. I need brains and people that can get us to a $50 million company. So we now basically bring in another level of expertise and professionals and executives that can get us to that next milestone. And, and when we get to 50 million, we'll bring in a whole other level of executives that know how to scale us up into the big level. So that's the strategy to do that. Expand market access and distribution. We'll have more clinicals. We're going to do overseas accounts, Four Seasons, GI Alliance. That's very exciting. That's 800 GI clinics in the US. that are waiting for us to get this trial done at UC Irvine, which will open us up to, they can actually prescribe Deliverance to their patients. Enter the strategic distribution agreements, which we're working on right now. Accelerated direct-to-consumer growth. That's, right now we don't do any digital marketing or online. We're testing as we speak. That's going to roll out in Q3, Q4, and we'll actually start really ramping up. So the 300K we're doing a month in revenue online is organic. So we can turn that up by a factor of probably 10. Advanced research and clinical validation. We formed a phenomenal relationship with University of California, Irvine, which has the most sophisticated and impressive integrated medical institute in the country. They now have a liver clinic scanning machine in there. If anybody's seen it, it's 6 stories, does 85,000 patients a year. They're so cool and advanced. They actually have herbal gardens and a whole workshop where they teach physicians and doctors how to cook the right food for the right type of patient. Because if you have cancer, you have to be on a completely different diet than if you have cirrhosis and so on and so forth. So really cool university. City of Hope I mentioned. We're actually just started a study in Bangladesh with a big hospital group as well that's undergoing. And then we're going to enhance infrastructure and operations. We need to build our back-end system and our IT because all the data that we collect. So that's something that we're going to be doing. That's the use of the $3 million essentially. Then roll out the healthcare. There's the plans for year 1, year 2. So we're obviously like in year 1 right now. That's what we're looking at for year 2 and 3. Next slide. So we write team to deliver. Obviously myself, we've got Mimi, who was obviously with Pepsi and would very much do the franchise world, which is a very key skill set because how we roll out these clinics in a fast pace and scale, you need to have that kind of mentality. So she's very key to that aspect of it. Chris Keeble, Chief Financial Officer, he's taking companies public, he's taking them private, very well known, he's global. My wife, who's a co-founder, is also heading up the marketing, and as I call her, she's the polizei of the branding. So she makes sure that we stay on point and we keep integrity for what we stand for as a company, and also to keep the branding really good. Dr. Morris Stiff, who you met, who's sitting over here if anybody wants to chat with, 35 years in the liver health field. He has done thousands of transplants, both and pancreas, liver. He is an expert. He was at Cleveland Clinic, left clinical practice, now he practices root cause medicine. He's full-time with us. Professor Rajiv Jalan, top hepatologist in EU and UK. Dr. Yadu, interesting, he's a top anesthesiologist in the UK as well, and a professor, so we use him to kind of look at some different aspects of medicine. And then Dr. Amadi, she's our Chief Science Officer in the UK. She's also part of Zoe Project. And what's very interesting and important about her is her brother and the family is our largest investor. They have 1.5 million pounds, about $2 million invested. Their mother is very famous. She's a triple PhD, and her mother founded the European Medicines Association, which is essentially the FDA of the EU. And based off of her recommendation and the law strategy that we have with pharma and biotech, the family advised under that strategy. So we've got some very good inroads there as well. Next slide. Cool, that's it for them. As a lot of you know, we've got a very close relationship with Maha. We were invited to the inauguration for the Maha Ball. There was 300 people invited. We were one of them. We didn't pay for our tickets. They gave us a full-page ad in the magazine. Everybody that attended got a Deliverance. And for me, I met some of my heroes, Dr. Malone, the inventor of mRNA technology, who was one of the first people to whistleblow in the COVID jab. Dr. McCullough, top cardiologist, who's incredible. We met Dr. Oz, right, head of Medicaid, Medicare. He's using Deliverance. Obviously met Bobby. So we formed a very good relationship with them, and we're working on some programs even from a school perspective. Dr. Phil's part of it as well, which is going into the schools and changing the food programs to bring down obesity, because 17% of children under the age of 18 have fatty liver disease. Like, that's outrageous. And we can change a lot of that by the food. But going in and blood testing a lot of these kids is going to be practical. So we said, we will donate our time and we will come in and scan these children. Let's scan the children. Let's put them onto this new dietary program where the food is locally sourced. So in an ideal scenario we want to get to, if you're at South Lake, the children at that school are eating meat and vegetables and things that are locally sourced. So you're supporting the local economy. You're getting rid of the processed foods. You're getting rid of all the crap. And then we're also proving that out. We're going to have to go probably via the private charter school, because a lot of the public schools have, a lot of the school boards are almost like communists, and they're deeply embedded in big pharma and big food. So we have a lot more opportunity with the private schools as well. So the MAHA thing is very important for us. I was just quoted, I got into a very big debate with the Wired journalist when he was trying to politicize MAHA, and anybody that knows anything about MAHA, it is apolitical. It is not Democrat, it's not Republican, it is not good, it is all about children's health and improving that, and that's a movement that we're behind. And Bobby Kennedy has done some of the most incredible work that we could have, unfathomable. So if anybody check out MAHA, see what they're doing. So they're very proud of that partnership. And I hit 27 minutes, so I'll take some questions in a couple minutes when everybody has them. So any questions I can answer? Yeah.
The product that you're placing in the hotels, how are you tracking when the consumer gets it? Is there anything put in place to track their, or rebuy, or just curious?
So we are going to be putting QR codes in there. So what will ideally happen is that they'll if they QR code that, we'll pixel their phone, and then we'll be able to start to track when they reorder as well. That's part of the plan as well. Yeah. Yes.
So I'm a little new to this, but I understand how you guys are feeding all of the data in terms of from the clinics and from the scans.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you getting the data like from patients after they've taken 2-3 months of the product?
Well, so we scan them again, run their bloods again, but we also stay in touch with them. So our nutritionists check up on them. Would you like a consultation? Oh, I've tried keto. We're trying to interact with them as well. So we're there, no charge on the other end to be able to facilitate. And we want to keep those relationships going. And part of what we're doing with some of these doctors' offices and potentially some bigger government agencies like in the UAE that we're working on, we'll actually tap into their data sets. So the way to hyperinflate our valuation from a data perspective is through these big partnerships. We're doing the Kazakhstani government, very interesting, which I talked to you guys about as well. We can do studies there for about 10 to 20 cents on the dollar with one of the most digitally advanced medical systems in the world. Nobody would think Kazakhstan, but they're all digital. So that's one of the ways we can tap in as well to go into those subsets.
What percentage of people who take these have also had liver scan and vice versa?
Right now, I would say it's probably less than 10%. So even with the average subscribers on Deliverance for about a year, the average price they spend is, our AOV is about 170 to 200 pounds, so about $200, $225. They stay on it for at least a year. We have people like the founder of Soho House has been on it for 70 months, right? So we've got people who've been on it for years. The reason it's a year is because we've ramped so quick that it's skewing the data because so many people haven't been on it a year. So just so you know, since last year, when we had the partnership with Pig and you guys invested and really we accelerated, our growth has been phenomenal, 300%. And that's a lot of that was driven by the capital investment that people in this room made. So I just wanted to say thank you very much, and we've used that money wisely. We've doubled the valuation and we tripled the growth. Any questions? Yes, sir.
The pancreatitis information that you presented at the beginning of the slides?
I'm sorry?
The pancreatitis information?
Yeah, that actually, if you'd like to get a chat with Dr. Gareth and I, we actually gave he gave a big lecture on that as well, so we can discuss that with you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Anybody else? Cool, thank you very much.